Hello, thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation. Today I'm going to talk to you about DataRoom, who we are, what we do, and how we do it. I have a case study where I will illustrate exactly how we do this. I will then end with our proof of concept opportunity. International analysts maintain that a full 15% of invoices in North America and Europe contain billing errors. Now, we don't live in North America or Europe, we live here in South Africa. And here, this figure is closer to 25%. That's where we come in. DataRoom is an independent telecoms expense management service provider. As Gartner puts it, a TEMS provider is an organization that at its heart has a software platform that manages a company's invoices and assets. Listed here are some of the components included in our service offering. What we can do with TEMS for you is save you directly up to 40% on your telecom spend. And we're also able to help you improve efficiencies by assisting with the management of your telecoms infrastructure. Now, how we do this? By engaging with the service providers directly on your behalf, along with our hosted platform, which is a solution that is non-invasive, meaning it does not require any hardware or software to be installed on your side. We are able to assist you on your telecoms environment. What we won't do is we won't fill your mailbox on a monthly basis with thousands of mails for you to sift through. Instead, what we'll do is we'll sit down with you, engage with you to better understand your business requirements, besides reducing costs, and who the key role players are. After that, we'll create a contract center. The contract center is made up of all of your existing contracts, terms, conditions, rates, and discounts that you have with your existing telecoms providers. At that point, we connect into those service providers. We're able to look at their back-end billing engine and do a detailed analysis, which allows us to see end to end. We're also able at that point to determine what the sweet spots are for savings. So we will then meet with you, create a project plan containing all of these sweet spots, as well as any benchmarks that you've set in terms of your business requirements. On a monthly basis, we will meet with you, review the project plan, and show you how the savings have been made and how we are progressing against your benchmarks. One of the tools that exist on DataRoom's hosted platform is that of the most expensive numbers dialed. An interesting example of this is a case where a company that was running a TMS system found that the top number dialed was that of a horse racing results line. It seemed odd, as their TMS showed the number, yet the call times were minimal, and therefore the charges should have been minimal. Through a single click of a mouse, we were able to drill down and determine that what was actually happening is the telco provider was not disconnecting the call. Some of these calls lasted 14 days to a premium rated number, which is obviously more expensive. On average, each call was lasting 8 days. Had we not been involved with them, they would have had to have sifted through 1.5 million rows of itemized billing to find the 131 calls made to this number. An almost impossible task. And had we not been involved, to date, they would have incurred about 2.4 million rands worth of billing for the single number. What I'd like to do now is talk about our case study. We were asked to partner with one of South Africa's leading security companies. They needed accurate data. They needed to know who was spending what, if they were paying more this year than they were in previous years, and if they were paying more or less the same as others like them out there in the industry. Now, to do this, we had to analyze over 148 million lines of information. This is a huge amount of data. If you were to imagine each line of information is about 42 centimeters long, placed back to back, that would go around the world 1.5 times. Now, the reason I'm telling you, or using this example and telling you how much data this is to give you an illustration of how huge amount of data we can crunch and analyze. They ultimately wanted to know, are their suppliers doing what they say they were doing? I can tell you, no, they were not. Firstly, they were paying other people's bills. 8% of their fees were incorrectly applied. Over and above that, 17% of their discounts that they were entitled to due to the size of their organization were either incorrectly applied or not applied at all. What this translated to is the agreed contractual rates that they had signed with the service providers were not being met. Therefore, their effective rate was higher. This organization made use of cell phones out in the field, as most organizations do. What was happening, however, the users were downloading content to these cell phones on a monthly basis to the value of 120,000 Rand. To come back to one of the tools that we offer is the zero billing. The zero billing is a tool that runs and interrogates any infrastructure that is currently being paid for but has no usage on it. They were all in all paying 2.1 million Rand per year for infrastructure that was of no use to them, or it was not being used. Just before we joined or partnered with this organization, there was an audit done internally where they cancelled a great deal of services with various service providers. What ended up happening is we determined that 50% of those cancelled services were still on their bills, which means they were still paying for it. This is where we came in and we started fixing it. We raised disputes with their service providers, as we now had all the data that was required to do so. We followed up, and started to recover. All in all, we have recovered to date 1.5 million Rands worth of telecom spend that would otherwise have been lost. This organization has been with us for over 3 years, and through constant engagement and monthly meetings, we have assisted them in reducing their overall telecom spend by 16%. To give you a Rand value of that, that's approximately 20 million Rand in the past 36 months. This is what we did for them. We'd love to see what we could do for you. Which leads me to our proof of concept. Our proof of concept is a free offer that will give you first-hand experience of our value proposition. There's no obligation to buy, and ultimately you will end up with a health check or an overview of your existing telecoms environment. Thank you for your time. Are there any questions?